guys, and welcome to the first vlog of the Irish Readathon 2025. So it is currently the 2nd of March. I didn't get a chance to pick up the vlog yesterday, but I also didn't start any of my Irish books yesterday because I had a couple of books left over from February that I needed to just finish up, which I have done now, and I have officially started my first book for the Irish Readathon, which I'm very happy about. I have just been for a walk with Rossi, and before I get into this, actually, if you are new here, you don't know what the Irish Readathon is. It is a readathon that happens every single March. And myself and my friend Leanne Rose, we both host it. And it is basically just where you read as many Irish books as you can during the month of March. And it's as simple as that. So we just love exploring, encouraging people to pick up more Irish authors and Irish literature. And yeah, we always have a great time doing it. So that is what we're doing here. And I'm going to vlog the books I'm reading during March. So yeah, that is what this is going to be. So yes, I never got a chance to do an Irish Readathon TBR. I'm hoping I might still get one up, but I don't really know. Things have just been crazy busy and getting stuff done in the house, and it's very hard to sit down. This is why there's so much mess behind me as well. Everything is kind of just been pushed into this room as we kind of are doing loads of different bits around the house the last couple of months, and probably for another month, I say, we'll probably still be kind of busy. So if at any point in the background of any of my videos in the vlog you're wondering why I'm living in such a mess, that is why. There are other reasons as well, but for the time being, that is the main reason why we're living in such a mess. We have a lot of things to do before the summer, so that is, we're trying to get them all done now. So yeah, I have just been out for a walk with Rossi. She's been she enjoyed it. Shorter than usual. She actually got neutered last week, so her walks have had to be shorter. So I've kind of gradually, she's on her 20 to 30 minute walk now instead of an hour walk. So she had a little bit of a run, but I didn't bring her for the full hour yet. I'm going to wait till the sign off for the vet, which should be this week. But yeah, she looks very disappointed every time I turn around to bring her back home, because she keeps waiting for her longer walk and she just hasn't got it yet, but she'll be getting it. By the end of this week, she'll be back to her normal walks and she'll be very happy. So I listened to an audiobook while I was walking her, and I picked up Firefly Summer by Maeve Binchy, which is a 23-hour audiobook that I have decided to start for this Irish Readathon. I actually really love the Maeve Binchy books I have read. I've listened to pretty much all of them on audiobook, I think, and I really enjoy the audiobooks from Maeve Binchy. There's just something so comforting and homely and warming about them, and they're all narrated by the same person. They're all narrated by Kate Binchy, which I think is Maeve Binchy's niece, if I'm not mistaken, but a family member anyway. And they're just lovely to listen to, and because they're so long, I feel like you really get into the characters and you really fall into their lives. And even at the start, it's kind of there's a lot of her stories have a lot of build up. It's a real character. A lot of her stories are really character driven rather than plot driven, and you really get to know the characters really well. And I just really enjoy that, especially for such a long audiobook as well. You really want to really feel you feel a lot for the characters, and I normally do with Maeve Binchy books, so I'm hoping this one will be no different. So this one we are following, it seems like we're following a group of characters all in the same kind of village or town. We're mostly following a family called the Ryans, who own a local pub, and it's a couple with 4 children, and we know that there's a man who, I think he's Irish American. He's going to move into the town. I think he's going to try and start a hotel in the town, and his life ends up kind of intermingling with the Ryans and causes a lot of upset, both I think in their family and also in the town itself. He kind of gets involved in the town, and I don't know whether it's going to be part of me is oh, I don't know whether there's going to be an affair or something else, but I guess I'll just keep reading and see. But I'm interested to see what that is. So that's one I'm going to be listening to over the course of the next few weeks. We'll see how long it takes me to get through it. Hopefully not too long. And then the other book I'm going to pick up tonight is Thirst Trap by Grania O'Hara. This is actually a book that isn't out until June, I think. It's not being published until June, but it actually fit in I was actually going to read it in February because it fit into one of the buzzword challenges, which was to read a book with kind of a water word in the title. So obviously thirst kind of makes you think of water. So that's what I was going to do. And then when I realised, I was like, oh, this is an Irish book, so if I don't get it in February, I'll read it at like the very start of March. So that is what I'm doing. And this one, I believe, is set in Belfast. We're following a woman who is living with a few of her friends. I don't know whether they're in their 20s or early 30s, but they've been friends for like, I think from like college time, and they have a lot of like history and a lot of like things like, you know, like just as when you're friends with people for a long time, there's loads of like tensions, but also like amazing things about being friends with people. And all I know about this is that they're all, I don't know if there's three of them or two or four, but they're all living together anyway. But one of their friends has also recently died, so they're also dealing with the grief of that. And I think this is just about messy friendship situations, growing up, being in your 20s to early 30s, figuring it all out. And we all know I love a book like that. So I'm looking forward to getting into this one now later on and reading that. So yeah, so that is what I'm going to be doing. I'm just, it is a Sunday, but I've actually been working this weekend, hence why I also didn't vlog yesterday because I was very busy. So I'm just finishing that up now. I'm going to have a shower in a while, make some yummy dinner hopefully, and then yeah, get into like a cozy evening and read some Irish books because that's what I want to do. That's all I ever want to do, but especially what I want to do right now. So that is what is on the agenda next, and I will update you guys as I get further along with my book. Hi guys, I am here. It is currently Tuesday, March the 4th, and I wanted to give you a update on how my reading has been going because I think I'll probably finish my first read for the Irish Readathon tonight, and that is Thirst Trap by Grania O'Hare. I've been saying Grania O'Hara. If that's wrong, it's Grania O'Hare. And yeah, this one I have some thoughts on so far. As I said, it follows three friends, Rosha, Harley and Maggie. And then you also kind of have like some bits around their friend Lydia, who was kind of part of their like 4-girl friendship group, and she died the year previously. So we still see, and there were some like things going on at the time that she died that was causing some like tension in the friendship group. So the fact that that was never really resolved has also kind of like added to the grief all these friends are feeling. And then they're also still living in the house that the 4 of them have lived together since they were like in their mid-20s. And it's all just a little bit messy and chaotic and crazy, and I do really like it, but at the same time I do find the writing is really, really easy to fly through. Each character as well is quite different in their own kind of messy, chaotic way as well. They all have different things going on in their lives. They all have kind of different romantic entanglements, different jobs, etc. So I do find them quite all unique in their own way as well, and also in their own coping mechanisms, but all as slightly troubling as each one is. And yeah, there's a little part to me that sometimes is the way that they're kind of like the heavy drinking and some of the drug use, and just kind of the way they're living. It's still very kind of like early 20s college era messy girls, if you know what I mean. And the fact that they've all basically hit 30, that it seems kind of almost strange in a way that they would still be living the way they are living. And there's a part of me that really can't not connect to that, but like relate to that, because I feel like even by the time I hit 30, the type of like heavy party lifestyle that they're kind of that they still seem to be able to keep up in this book, I was like, I wasn't able for that like in like 3 years ago when I was 30. Definitely wouldn't be able for it now. And yeah, it's kind of an interesting one to think about, the fact that like just my own feelings about that, and to examine my own feelings about that. So yeah, it is interesting in that way. There is some like trigger warnings in terms of like, as I said, there's like some drug use, there is some obviously sexual content, and there's also a character who definitely is struggling with like disordered eating, and it doesn't seem to be in a way of like where her wanting to be thin or a thing about body image. It actually seems to be mostly related to like anxiety and control, and it's almost just become like a habit that she does. And we do see this like it was kind of hinted at for a while, and now I'm almost like 80% into the book. She actually brought it up herself, and she kind of has just kind of like, it's very flippant. She kind of flippantly talks about it in a way of saying like, well, it's just something that she's gotten into the habit of, and she just can't really break now, and she does these binge eatings, and it's definitely been exacerbated because of the grief of her friend, and a breakup as well. So yeah, we'll see how that resolves itself, if it does resolve itself in any way. This definitely feels more character driven than plot driven as well. like the plot, there's not really much of a plot except these friends just kind of trying to take one step ahead of another and just like kind of keep going. But yeah, there's not like one really big plot that I would say it's definitely a lot more character focused. But yeah, I am enjoying that. As I said, I'm about 75% in, and the fact that I have gotten so far in like just a couple of reading sessions, I think that I'll probably finish it tonight. I don't think it'll be a 5-star. It doesn't feel like a 5-star, but it might be a strong like 4-star probably. But I'll obviously update you guys on how I feel about it. And then the other book I've been reading is Firefly Summer by Maeve Binchy, only at the very start of that still. This one, we're kind of following a bunch of characters, but as I said, mostly one family in a town, and the town is like Redfern, I think it's called. But at the start of the book, you're definitely like kind of bombarded with a lot of characters, which is kind of like a Maeve Binchy thing. Is like you do follow a lot of different characters who all kind of revolve around each other's lives. But yeah, I kind of was scrambling a little bit to kind of keep up with everyone and who each person was, and sometimes I would get confused by who we were suddenly following. And then also I think there's like some issue, I don't know whether it's with the audiobook I'm listening to or like something my phone is doing with the audiobook, but it's like repeated sections a couple of times, and it's taken me like a minute to be like, oh, I've already read this part and I don't really know what's happening, so hopefully it stops doing that. We'll see. But I'm going to try and probably listen to a little bit more of that on the way home from work tonight. So we'll see how that goes. But that's going to be one, I say that will take me at least 2 weeks to finish. It's going to be just one to make a little bit of progress in every day, either on my dog walks or my commute from normally home from work. I normally listen to music and read on the way to work and then listen to an audiobook on the way home. So yeah, we will see how that goes. So yeah, that is all the reading updates I have for you right now, and I will check in with you guys probably when I finish my first book, and let you guys know the star rating and then what I'm going to be reading next. Hello guys, it is now Wednesday the 5th, the 6th, or is it Thursday? It's Thursday of March, and I'm just out for a walk with Rossi before I go to work, and I said I thought I'd give you an update because as predicted on Tuesday night I finished Thirst Trap by Gráinne O'Hare, so my first official book of the Readathon is done, and I enjoyed it. As I said, it was a very easy read, it was quite quick to read, and the only thing I will say is I kind of felt like the character, as I said, it was very character focused as well, and there wasn't as much character growth maybe as I would have liked throughout the novel, where I felt like everything kind of came very quickly at the end. That's not to say I didn't like it, but like the last chapter was very much like this roundup of how they had changed loads of things and some things were for the better, and you know, they were getting on better in all their personal lives and stuff like that. Now a big part of the book as well was dealing with grief and dealing with moving on from a period of their lives that involved another person who was no longer around, and kind of how hard that was for them, and I did definitely appreciate that being there. But overall I say it was like a 3, I wouldn't even say like, it kind of feels like between a 3.5 and a 4, so it's almost like a 3.75, which is a rating I don't normally give. Like I'd normally be like, it's either a 3.5 or a 4, but I feel like, I don't know, I might see how it grows on me and see if I think about it more, if it's an officially like a 4-star book rather than like a 3.75. But I did quite enjoy it. It was fun, it was funny, chaotic, messy energy, you know, just girls trying to live the best lives they can, while also being completely unreliable and all over the place. So yeah, we like messy girl energy here. So yeah, it was fun. So it's out officially in June, I think, so you can read it from June, because I got an ARC copy from NetGalley, so that's what I was reading. And then I have been continuing with Firefly Summer, though I cannot find my earphones wherever I put them the other day, and now our kitchen has been rewired, so we have like our entire kitchen in another room of the house, and everything in my house is like, oh god, it's like such a bad mess that I can't find anything. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to find a pair of earphones to be able to like listen to this until the weekend, when hopefully things will be finished and I can tidy up. But but yeah, we will see about that. So yeah, and then the other book I started Braids Take a Day, which is the book I'm reading for Book by a POC, because we're following an Irish Nigerian girl. It's like her summer between school and college, and she's 18, and we kind of see it's going to be kind of like her summer of growing up a little bit, and maybe not necessarily like embracing her wild side, but doing a little bit more than what her like conservative parents have always allowed her to do. Like she might go to like the disco for the first time, and she's experimenting with her hair, and there was like a really interesting passage about how she had found getting her hair done, which is very different to obviously white Irish hair, in Ireland, and finding someone who would do that for her, still not being completely happy, and then kind of taking it into her own hands and learning how to do braids herself, and the type of braids she does, and the history behind them and stuff like that. So I actually thought that was really nice to have in there. I think right now the writing for it is a little bit on the simpler side, but the story is quite sweet, so I'm going to continue with that today, and hopefully that won't take me too long to finish, because it's not that long, so I'll probably hopefully get a lot of that done today, on my commute and stuff. So we will see how that goes. So yeah, that is my update for you guys at the moment. Rossi has a stick, she's a happy girl, and yeah, continue on with this walk and then go to work. It is now Saturday, and I wanted to come in with a bit of a check-in, let you guys know how the reading is going. Things are a bit hectic in my house this weekend. As I was saying, we were getting our kitchen rewired, and it still isn't finished, and probably won't be finished now until the start of next week. So basically downstairs is an absolute disaster. Can't really do anything downstairs, so yeah, I'm kind of stuck up here for the majority of the day, but I've been trying to kind of keep busy, get some things done, organise my drawers, kind of shifted some of the big winter stuff to bring in some of the spring clothes, that kind of thing, kind of the layers. So yeah, I'm kind of like, even though I feel like I've been a bit stuck up here, I have tried to kind of make use of it as well, kind of those jobs that I've just been so busy with work and other things that I haven't actually done, like clearly like organising the drawers and stuff, even though in like probably 2 to 3 weeks they're going to be back to normal, messy, and I don't know where anything is and stuffing stuff into it. So yeah, but I managed to go out for a walk this morning. I'm continuing to read Firefly Summer. I am about like 8 hours in, which, so I'm not quite halfway through it yet, but I'm about a good quarter of the way through, I say. And I'm on like part 3, and something kind of really big happened at the end of part 2 into part 3, to one of the main characters, and I'm really enjoying this so far. It's very much a classic Maeve Binchy, where you're following characters, a few characters in this town for quite a long period. Like it's already been a year of following them, and I'm hoping we follow, there's a few younger characters who I actually really like as well, so I'm hoping we follow them for a good few years, like into maybe like their teenage years or early 20s or something like that, because I would just love to see how they grow up and how everything affects them. And one of the big things in this book is that this American man whose father and grandfather were originally from the area, he has come in and bought this kind of like old house, and he's turning it into a hotel. And even though he has like become part of the village and has made a point to like get to know everyone and to employ people and to you know, just kind of be really good friends with people, and it's like his children are, you know, friends with the local children, stuff like that, going to school with them, there is still this kind of thing of knowing that he's going to be bringing in this big hotel, and he's actually going to be taking business away from some of the other businesses in the town, particularly a local pub that's going to be like right beside the hotel, and their livelihood is probably going to be very much affected. And it still hasn't really happened because the hotel is still being built, but you can kind of feel that kind of shadow. And even though he's a nice guy, he's a very cutthroat businessman, and he probably won't stop at anything to get what he wants, to get his dream, which is to have this hotel, even if it is maybe really hurting this local family who've been really good to him. I don't know. So there's a little bit like of tension there. Like, I don't know what he'll do, like how things will work out. So I'm interested to continue it and to see what happens. I finished Braids Take a Day on Thursday, and that was a very quick read. It was a very sweet read, as I said. Don't know, I gave it a 4 stars. I was thinking it was probably more of a 3 stars, but then, to be honest, it was so sweet and so heartwarming that I just couldn't give it any more than lower than a 4 stars, because I just thought it was such a cute story. And I also felt like there were probably teenagers who would be reading that and would see so much of themselves represented in the main character of Abby. And yeah, like her own journey as like a Black Irish teenager, and finding representation for herself out there, whether it's in the form of celebrities or other Black women that she knows in real life, the struggles with hair and makeup and stuff like that, and also kind of like identifying or like connecting with those roots of what some of the hairstyles and history and culture and stuff like that, which I really, really liked reading. It was just very, very sweet. And I did think Abby was a little bit young for her age. I think even though she was 18, she definitely read and felt more like a 15-year-old. I still did really think she was really sweet. So yeah, 4 out of 5 stars for that. And I did enjoy it. It was very cute. And then I am just 5 chapters into Long Live Evil by Sarah Rees Brennan, and I'm really enjoying this so far. This is just a lot of fun. This is going to be a very, very fun book to read. This one we're following Ray, who is 20 years old, and she has had cancer for the last 3 years, and it's looking like she is not going to be getting better. And her sister are like obsessed with this fantasy series, very similar to something like, like the way people are like absolutely obsessed with like A Court of Thorns and Roses and stuff like that. And particularly her sister like lives and breathes this fantasy series and like reads it to Ray when she's in hospital. So Ray's really into it as well, but she doesn't know the story as well as her sister would. And then she ends up getting this person who comes to her bedside, and this person basically tells her that she's going to die, but she has a chance to save herself if she was to enter the world of the book series that she loves so much. And she has to find this particular type of like flower that blooms once a year in this story that she knows, and it will grant her like good health. It will save her in real life as but she basically just has to survive what is going on like in the book story. So she ends up entering into her book series, and she is this character who's kind of like a villainous character, and she has to be this character and figure out a way to survive everything she knows this character is going to be up against, including an execution. And it's very, very fun, and I just think, yeah, I think it's really original. And if you think about it, how everyone gets lost in these magical, fantastical or fictional worlds at times where things are hard, or you just need that escapism, and to kind of see it so literally represented in this, I really, really love. And I also know that the author herself, she did have cancer herself as well, so she has taken, I would presume she's taken a lot of her own kind of cancer experience and put it into Ray and into this book. So I say it's a very personal book for her as well. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to continuing on with this. I'm only 6 chapters in, but really, really love it so far. And again, I just want to share this cover again because I think the cover is so badass. I just love it so much. So yeah, that is what I'm going to be doing today. I'm going to continue on. I'm going to have a tea break now. I have my cup of tea and I have a little Kimberly biscuit. So that is what I'm going to be doing, and check in with you guys when I get a little bit further, and just continue on with my day, figure out something else to do while being stuck upstairs. I might just end up being reading or watching BookTube or something like that, so I think that's what's going to be. So yeah. guys, here for a final update of this reading vlog, and then we can roll over onto the part 2 of the reading vlog, which will be out at the end of the month. So I wanted to update you about how my reading obviously has been going. The last time I was talking to you, I had just started Long Live Evil. Now that was actually like a week ago at this stage. I didn't update at all this week. Just, life, work, things happening. But I'm actually on holidays now, so I'm up in Donegal, which is where I always go, and generally always go at this time of year as well. So you guys are probably sick of all the B-roll that normally comes from Donegal. Just beaches, dogs, sea, sand, mountains. It's probably like the same thing all the time, but I can never get enough of it, so that's okay. So I wanted to update on Long Live Evil because obviously I have finished that at this stage and I absolutely loved it. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. It was just so fun, really campy. It knew exactly what it was doing. I thought it was really, really clever in the way it dealt with the like fantasy tropes and what you expect from a fantasy, how people interpret stories in different ways depending on how they connect to the characters, or if they're more into like villains or heroes, or the anti-hero or the underdog. And it was just so much fun. I really loved the main character Ray and how gutsy she was, and how she just really threw herself into this like crazy, story of like actually living in this fantasy world and being in the body of this kind of like sultry villainess in a way, but also kind of she reinterpreted what was evil and what wasn't, and what she valued in characters and what she didn't. And you can kind of see there's almost like a butterfly effect kind of thing happening as well with the story, because she thinks she knows how the story is going, but then as she is kind of potentially changing things or moving things around to kind of suit her own agenda as well, or even in a way of trying to make things work for her favorite characters in a way that she knows they do work eventually, she ends up changing the story in like little ways, and it's just so interesting to see how all that happened. Now there's not like any like massive, I would say, like reveals in this. I feel like it's kind of not necessarily like super obvious, but it's obvious enough about like where the story is going and who kind of the main key players for the second book are probably going to be. But I still had just such a really, really fun time reading this. I enjoyed every moment of it. I loved the kind of romance. I loved some of the sexy bits, which there aren't a load of, but there's definitely like chemistry, and there's also like some really good kind of not necessarily views, but kind of like if you just look upon about like damsels in distress versus the like male characters and the hierarchy, particularly in like fantasy books, I guess, where you do see often a very kind of patriarchal society still, where women have to dress and act a certain way and men are allowed to get away with everything, similar to like history. But I kind of liked how that was dealt with and talked about by the characters in this book, even characters who were generally like very silent, and how they actually come out and have their own voices. And again, Ray ends up thinking completely different about these characters as she learns more about them and how they feel about how their story arc has gone. And yeah, it was really good. I really, really enjoyed it. I have seen some people give it negative reviews, and I personally just feel like they didn't get what the story was trying to say, where I just feel like I did. I don't know, I felt like I knew what the author was trying to do with the story, what she was trying to play around with, the tropes. And if you go into it knowing the type of story it's going to be and what it's playing with, and that you're not expecting anything different from fantasy in that sense because she's playing with the typical tropes, then I think you have a really good time. But then again, I don't know, but I had a really good time with it. But I also generally have a really good time with Sarah Rees Brennan's writing because I love her humour and I love her take on things and her fantastical worlds that she creates, and her characters. So yeah, this was another 5 out of 5 stars for me for Sarah Rees Brennan book. So I'm really happy that I have finished that. And still going with Firefly Summer by Mia Binchy. I'm about 3/4 of the way through now. Lots of things have been happening. Don't have much of an update on that, to be honest, other than I'm still enjoying it. I'm going to see what the last quarter entails. There's been some like really tense moments. There was a really, really sad moment that happened that did generally kind of had me a little bit teary. And yeah, so yeah, that is what has been happening. And also, obviously, before I actually forget to talk about it, obviously, during the B-roll, I did reveal that I am pregnant. So that is probably why you may have noticed me either being particularly out of breath during this vlog, also why things have slowed down a little bit on the channel with my reading, because there's lots going on in my life. Also why I might be just getting wider at different parts of myself, and why I might look a little bit wider or bigger in this vlog. But yeah, we have another few months to go, so I'm just gonna continue to get bigger. But I'm really happy, and she's healthy and kicking away, and that is all I want, really. And yeah, it's an exciting time. So yeah, I will continue on with my Donegal reading, my Donegal vlogging for the next couple of weeks, for the last few weeks of March, and let me know, you guys, how your reading has been. Have you read any particularly like 5-star reads yet during the Irish Readathon? Have you read any of the books that I've talked about? I would love to know. And thank you guys so much for watching, as always, and I'll see you guys again next time.